Can't philosophize your way out of this one, mate. Tom, I've watched your video when you fall down the spiritual rabbit hole, and I thought maybe you can help me with a thought that has stuck with me for the last year, even though I've gotten rid of it years ago when I became spiritual. I do believe in a God, it's just that I don't get why we are here. What's the meaning of it all? I believed it was love and growth and God experiencing himself, blah, blah, freaking blah. It made sense to me in the beginning, but now 5 years later, I'm like, what's the point of existence anyway? We love, we lose, we grow, we die. It pisses me off when people say, it is what it is. God does what he wants. Just don't think about it too much. I've gone to college, had an honors degree, had a job, but life happened, left everything, and now I'm stuck because I don't see an end game to this life. Nothing really matters. I panic sometimes because how I can end up in this loop. I thought the spiritual route would help, and it did for 4 years, but things got worse as time passes. Is it going to be like this for eternity? I really hope God has a better meaning in creating all of this other than sheer boredom. Correct me if I'm wrong, but I do sense a little bit of frustration towards the creator or the source of life, and like, why would you do this? What is the point of all of this? And I feel you, like, listen, I'm not going to pretend to be like this spiritual guru, and I'm going to give you the exact answers to life and tell you that I'm actually best mates with God and he speaks to me and this is what he's telling me. It's like, I don't know either. All I can do is share my own experience and things that have helped me overcome this line of thinking where you're too much in this nihilistic hole of thinking, what is the purpose of this? And it's like, there's a lot to it, so let's get into it. What you focus on is what's ultimately going to become a reality. If you start focusing on the negative, ugly sides of life, or the emptiness, or the like, what is the point of all this? Then reality, and your mind specifically, is going to shoot you information that has to do with reinforcing this focus. It's like tinnitus, for example. I haven't even heard it for the last 48 hours, but since I just said the word, put the awareness into my brain, now I can hear it. It didn't go away ever, but it's there. I know that you said that pisses you off when people say don't just focus on it, and I get you, because I'm not gonna come here and just say, oh, just ignore it. It's like, that's one part of the equation. It's like, yeah, just don't focus on that, but then also replace it with a positive focus, something practical. Because it's easy to say, don't do this, don't do that, but it's like, okay, cool, now what? So I went through a very similar path, and I got to such an extreme point where I was like, there's not even any point to effing yourself, because like, you're just gonna come back here for eternity anyway. Like, what is time? It's like, it can be really terrifying being overwhelmed with the vastness of reality, just infinity itself. But I don't think that this is a bug in the human brain. I think it's a feature. I think that this existential angst is the exact thing that pushes humans to grow and create technology and to search for meaning and to make new connections and friends. And it's like, you know what I mean? It produces, I'm not even thinking of this as a theological perspective. I'm just looking at just how things are. I'm looking at what drives humans to do what they do, and what do they do to avoid death and existentialism. Of course, you can go off balance and just escape through work and study and just, you know, the matrix life. And who knows, maybe you're one of those people who just literally never thinks of death, never goes on the spiritual path, and you just kind of like, yeah, whatever, you accept it. I don't know. I guess I would have to go to a hospital and talk to many people on their deathbed and see certain patterns. It's actually not too bad an idea. Would they allow me in? Or would they be like, please leave the hospital, sir? What you focus on grows, but your meaning in life is actually deeply intertwined with your emotion. What are you feeling? What are your values in life? Like, what needs are you trying to meet? And listen, we can go down this nihilistic spiritual path, and I can try and prove why God is real and why God loves you, and there really is a design and purpose to this life. I can tell you that this earth is a school. It's tests and tribulations. It's for us to grow. This is what I believe, and I can't prove this to you, but what I do know is that when you paint your perception with life is school, life is a game, your approach and emotions surrounding this is going to change dramatically. When you say things like, life is hard, I'm not saying that you say this specifically, but I'm just making a point of the language that you use is so important. But when you think of like, what are your fundamental belief systems about life? What did you believe when you were a child? Why do you think this triggered you into going this way? And let me ask you, because I'm not here, I can't give you answers. You have to search this within yourself. I could maybe be some sort of a signpost and be like, oh, maybe go this way. Or maybe I could say something that triggered some insight. I don't know. But we're going to attempt and talk about this, because this nihilistic spiritual rabbit hole path is just becoming more and more common, especially with drug use increasing. And I don't even know how you got this existential crisis. I mean, I'm curious, did you get it from psychedelics? But let me ask you a question. What happened if there was no meaning to existence? What would you do? How would you live life differently? And does it really matter? Because no matter what your theology about reality is, you still got to take a shit. We're all human. Just still got to live in the matrix. We still got to make money. We still have these basic needs. You can even look at the Maslow's hierarchy of needs. So if you've already got like your shelter, roof over your head, food, just basic survival needs, then now your brain starts to go up the rung of meaning. And it's like, okay, now what? Okay, now what? Okay, now what? It pisses me off when people say it is what it is. I say it all the time, and I know it's like a nonsensical sentence, because it's like, it is what it is. It's like, what does that even mean? I guess it's just something that we say to just make ourselves feel better, or when we don't have like a solid explanation or answer to something. So we just, it is what it is. Just don't focus on it. Okay, this is clearly not a satisfactory answer for you. So I will say, I was still gonna say don't focus on it, at least for now, but also focus on gratitude, man. When you cultivate gratitude, I invite anybody watching to like do this exercise with me, but really think about a time in your life that you were so grateful, like super, super grateful, with that warm feeling just filled up your body, and it's like one of your most significant life memories. Think about that moment. And it goes down to the start of the video, like you can't philosophize your way out of this. You can't use logic to be like, okay, this is what life's about, because ultimately you're never gonna know until you pass, right? Until you cross that threshold into the afterlife, or even if there is an afterlife. And I can go into my opinions and my beliefs and things that, I can build an argument on why God is real, why there is meaning. But again, it's not going to mean anything because I'm talking to the left side of your logical brain. But really what you need to do is rewire your mind and your heart, get back into that joy, right? And that's why tapping into that gratitude is so powerful, because you cannot be fearful and grateful at the same time. You cannot hold these conflicting emotions. So it's not about trying to kill one emotion. It's like the law of polarity. The Kabbalion talks about this with transmutation. If you're trying to move from one negative emotion to a positive end of an emotion, you don't try to kill it out and be like, why are you like this? It's more cultivate this. So, for example, with fear, in order to dissipate fear, you don't try to actively kill it out by focusing on it. It's literally the opposite. You have to take your focus away from it and go to the opposite side of the pole. What's the opposite of fear? Courage. So you cultivate courage. If I was a courageous person right now, what would I do? Tap into those emotions. And of course, it's, this is the whole life thing. I wish I could just give you one piece of advice. I'm just trying to give you like maybe a general direction. Well, again, just something that has helped me, because this is something that I don't think about anymore. And I know this is the exact thing that probably pisses you off, like just don't think about it. But it's not even about that, because I can think about it and not have these emotional reactions and kind of conclusions about existence. So I would say that it's really your emotions inside. I think this could be shadow work that you might have to do, or tap into what made you happy as a child and really becoming competent as a human being, building skills and being a useful member of society kind of thing. Because this might not give you this meaning in your mind at this very moment, but when you take action, and honestly, action is the answer to 99% of your problems. It's just taking massive action, just getting in the flow. And the thing is, I have limited information on who you are, what you do, what you're into, so I'm just trying to give you just basic principles here. But it is interesting, this earth, because I feel your sentiment of like, man, what is the point of all this? This kind of like, sometimes I get the feeling that this place is almost like a purgatory, because it seems that most people end up going down the path of misery, and it's like a smaller percentage, it's like less than 50% of the human population, from what I'm observing, is going on an up path of like being optimized and thriving and happy and fulfilled. Like, I feel like it's like one of those things that you got to really work at. And why did God make the life the way it is? I have no idea, man. I'm not God. I can have an experience, I can ask and fool myself into thinking that's the ultimate truth in life, but I don't know. Nobody knows. And that's okay. But we're here, but at least we have each other. Like, you could have been born on this earth in a different time period, in a much worse situation with no tribe or friends or community. So again, it's all about cultivating that gratitude, because the more grateful you are about life, the less room you have for these low vibration thoughts and energies. And I know I'm kind of going a little bit woo, but it's not. It's actually super practical. It's just practical psychology, really. One of the first things that helped me at the beginning was to just cut off all this philosophy and religion. Even though I did get into it for a long time, ultimately it was really about taking care of your body, your emotions, your mind. And with that exercise I told you, think of a place that you're grateful for. I forgot to tell you that. And I know this sounds super lame, but trust me, hold your heart. There are literally studies about this, that when you connect your mind to your heart, your waves are in sync, whereas so many people, it's like jagged. If I was to measure your brain waves right now, I wouldn't be surprised if it was complete in conflict, jagged. But when you're connected with your heart, and it's already there, you have all the tools that you need, man. I know this sounds super cliche, and maybe this will piss you off too, but it doesn't matter. You can be pissed off. Honor that pissed off self. It's okay. There's a lot to be pissed off about. But there's also a lot to be grateful for. Remember, what you focus on grows, so focus on gratitude, focus on love, focus on relationship, focus on giving. And I promise you, everything else will fall in place. Catch you later.